Welcome to Empowering Voices, Jean. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Thank you very much, Duke. My name is Jean Adria. I've been with UP for over 20 years. I think the first part of that, the first five or so, I was a student as well, also with a disability. So I've experienced inclusion on both sides as a student and also as a member of staff in this institution. I've been working with the disability unit for the past 15 years now. And I started as an administrator, and I'm now specializing in technical support for students with disabilities with an emphasis on assistive technology. And I'm a specialist in the country with supporting students, especially with visual disabilities. Though at UP, we support students with all disabilities. And for the past few months, I am also the acting HOD in the department.
Cool, lovely. Congratulations on the acting role.
Thank you.
What does diversity and inclusion mean to the disability unit?
I think in a nutshell, it is to get everyone on equal footing. Disability from a functional point of view does affect a person's daily functioning. And if you look at this in a tertiary institution, it's a high impact, it's high intensity. Person needs to work and get going on the feet. So we essentially try to remove those barriers that a person would face as a result of a disability. I like to think that we act as a catalyst, in the removing of certain barriers to enable people with disabilities to have access to information and studies at the same level as their peers.
That's lovely. And with the adoption of the anti-discrimination policy, how has that contributed to the kind of work that the disability unit does?
That is helping us immensely because that gives a lot of gravitas to what we are trying to do. We have policy to fall back on. It's not simply our word against anyone who's questioning what we do. So this really enables us to provide the most possible access to students entering University of Pretoria.
Is your work just limited to students?
Yes, we support mainly students registered at UP, and with a focus also on their academic functions, though we do also assist in other areas with student societies and, on requests in many other sort of fields as well.
Okay, that's great. How can disability access and inclusion be better achieved within the university space?
I think this is a question that could be more broadly put. This is a more of a societal question because the challenges we face in UP, I find, is almost universally encountered in the country as a whole. And this is more related to, I think, for the most part, attitudes of people who do not understand disability. Because if it's almost can be compared to apartheid times, where today children with disabilities, for the most part, are still being accommodated in special schools. So your average person doesn't have access to or contact with people with, the more severe disabilities growing up. So I find frequently people who get encountered are instantly put into a very uncomfortable position where they're not very sure on how to react or how to assist someone. They don't know what the protocols are, what the correct etiquette is, for example, in dealing with someone with a disability for like blindness or something like that, for example. And I think we are in very big need of inclusion in mainstream society and schooling. This is happening at universities across the country. And you'll find this is the first point of entry for many developing people, like young adults, is the first contact that many of them have with other students who have disabilities. So this does pose many challenges, and especially with the older people, they've never had this contact with people with disabilities. So people have good intentions, but they don't know how to assist or how to act appropriately in many cases.
So part of the challenge is just broad ignorance.
Exactly.
Okay. And what level of support does the disability unit offer students who do come into the university seeking to attain higher education?
So, yeah, this is a complicated question to answer concisely because we take each person as an individual. But yeah, to answer maybe in the easiest way, we do offer concession support. Many people know, for example, things like additional time, any adaptations that need to be made during lectures, physical access on the campus. We have students who have mobility issues, students who have maybe hearing issues in campuses, in places where there are many people involved, like a large lecture with maybe 600 other students becomes a challenge. So we try to put a lot of measures in place to have these students have full access to the curriculum.
That's great. This has been very informative for me. Is there anything else you think you would like to share with the university community before we conclude this session?
I think, yes, people should just try and include everyone. I keep telling this to people. We all see the disability students or students with disabilities on campus. There are blind students, people using wheelchairs and scooters. And this is also the thing, there are many people with invisible disabilities. You don't even know that person has a disability. And I encourage all people that if you become aware of anything like that or a person like that in your midst or in your circle of friends, don't act differently. These people also just want to be part of what you're part of. So inclusion is first and foremost the best thing we should all strive towards.
Great. Thank you very much, Juan, for this session, for the information that you've shared, and all the best in your role moving forward in the disability unit. And if you're listening, thank you very much for joining us for this podcast. We welcome you to listen to other recordings that we've had, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you. Thank you.